The Initial D Battle Stage installments are adaptations of Initial D that solely focused on compiling the race portions of the series, without extraneous dialogue or scenes, along with entirely new soundtracks. These adaptations usually provided context of the battles before every race, and would shorten the races to a few minutes as a result of cutting out the superfluous content. While the races are contextualized, they don't necessarily serve as abridged versions for the entire story. Often there would be a lot of cut dialogue that would explain certain workings of the cars and the psychology of the drivers in battle. The first battle stage's reanimated content also shortened these races by a significant amount, only showing the core moments while leaving out a substantial amount of the original racing shots from the original anime. Battle Stage 2 only cut scenes from the final race, but it is a unique case. The Battle Stage installments work much better as fan service and a compilation of race content. The first Battle Stage, released on May 15, 2002, was done by Studio Dean, who also animated the Initial D Third Stage movie. This Battle Stage covered all of the races from Initial D First Stage to Third Stage. Races from First and Second Stage were completely reanimated with the improved CGI visuals from Dean, and the races from Third Stage were made up of existing footage. An additional exclusive race between Keisuke Takahashi and Seiji Iwaki was also animated, and used existing dialogue voice lines from several instances of the show. Battle Stage 1 even included a bonus guest commentary from the Drift King himself, Keiichi Tsuchiya. Initial D Battle Stage 2, released on May 30, 2007, was produced by OB Planning and was animated by Pastel and Animation and Computer Graphic Technology, or ACGT for short. This battle stage compiles all of the races from Initial D 4th stage, as well as including 2 additional races that weren't shown in the original anime. Unlike the first battle stage, none of the battles are reanimated as there wasn't much need to. Battle Stage 2 also uses footage taken straight from the releases of 4th stage, as evident by the fact that the luminance of the first race is still incorrect. Both of the original 2 installments of Battle Stage were released about a year after their original seasons. Initial D wouldn't see another non-OVA installment until November 9, 2012, that being 5th stage, and the next and final installment, aptly titled Final Stage, aired and finished during May to June 2014. There wouldn't be another installment of the Initial D anime, mainly because of the fact that there was nothing left to adapt, but interestingly, there was no Battle Stage recap for Initial D 5th and Final Stage until March 5, 2021, almost 7 years since the end of Final Stage. Initial D Battle Stage 3 is a compilation of every race featured from Initial D 5th stage and Final Stage. It was made up of pre-existing footage animated by Studio Synergy SP, with no new content, which isn't necessarily a surprise because they had already adapted everything. Just like the previous 2 installments, it cuts up the races into abridged versions and has a completely new soundtrack. Strangely though, there was no dialogue at all throughout the entire OVA, and this would only become one of several issues in the infamous Initial D Battle Stage 3. Along with the lack of dialogue and inner monologues, the soundtrack was received with mixed feedback. The Eurobeat selection in Initial D, and now MF Ghost, is a crucial part of the experience because it enhances the atmosphere of the races, and can sometimes highlight particular moments in a race with the right timing. These songs are sometimes even defined by these races. If somebody asked a fan what the first thing that came to mind was when they hear Spaceboy by Dave Rogers, they would most likely think of the opening scene of the very first episode of Initial D, because that's when it was played. Having a mixed received soundtrack in an Initial D installment is not something that the series is exactly known for, similar to how Sonic games are known for always putting out great music despite their variation in game quality. Obviously this isn't the case for everyone, but a large number of people on the internet seem to voice this opinion. Something you might notice when looking at the soundtracks of the previous 2 Battle Stage installments is that they have tracks from around the time period of their original anime releases, give or take a couple years. This helps the songs fit in, as these races, reanimated or not, have a certain zeitgeist to them, and these songs fit well into the time period and style of Eurobeat that was used in the anime during its original run. In contrast to that, Battle Stage 3's soundtrack consists of songs all throughout Super Eurobeat's run, with songs productions ranging from the late 90s to the 2000s, and even a few tracks from the 2020s. This jumbled up amalgamation of time periods and Eurobeat styles does not create a consistent feel throughout the OVA, and can often feel out of place because of the established music of 5th and final stage. It's even more noticeably unfit when comparing the original soundtrack to Battle Stage 3's soundtrack, which although did not have an exact matchup in time period in anime and song production, did have a consistent feel throughout the soundtrack. The songs themselves may or may not be good to some, but a lot of them don't match the more modern soundtrack of these stages. The editing of Battle Stage 3 is also somewhat choppy in comparison to the previous battle stage. The flow of scenes generally feel less fluid, and this is also probably affected by the lack of dialogue. You might argue that, of course the races feel choppy because of the stripped scenes, but compare this to Battle Stage 2 where there were also no reanimated races, but the scenes that are conjoined feel a lot more smooth and proper. The awkward editing doesn't necessarily go for the entire OVA, but it's quite noticeable in a lot of moments. This also goes for the audio mixing too. Because the car sounds are the only other thing that you'll hear, it's pretty jarring to hear the sounds just cut off abruptly because they very obviously just took the clips themselves without separating the audio and spliced them together. The song mixing is also awkward, which can be seen whenever they have more than one song during a race. Once the first one ends, the next one just abruptly begins without any significant turning points. There are attempts to use the songs to highlight certain incidents, but because there isn't any tension or turning points being built up through any kind of storytelling, the music transitions have a lot less impact. The pacing of the scenes and music are arguably all affected by the lack of dialogue.
逆に言えば、見せないことが駆け引きにもなる。本気のブレーキングを見せるときは勝負に行くときだ。遅れた。ほんの少しだけど確実に。
The dialogue in Initial D is one of the most important parts of the story because it explains the driver's psychology and technical details about the cars and courses themselves. Without these explanations, a lot of the information is lost, and now it's just watching racing to watch racing, which is fine and some people do like Battle Stage 3 for that, but it takes away from the overall authentic experience. Even in previous battle stages, there was still core dialogue present to help understand the current situation or characters' actions. So why doesn't Battle Stage 3 have any dialogue? Well, there is no official answer, but we can theorize. The most likely theory is that Avex Pictures, the company that produced Battle Stage 3, couldn't pay any of the residuals for voice actors, along with the fact that a few of the original voice actors from the series have passed away since the conclusion of Initial D. Initial D Arcade Stage 0, an installment of the Initial D Arcade Stage series, also did not feature any voice lines from any characters. It's important to note that this was released around the time that the Initial D Legend trilogy of movies had concluded, which was a sort of reboot of the series as a whole at the time while changing many other elements of the franchise, including all of the voice cast. And it probably would have been a very tedious process to find new voice actors for the entire cast of Initial D with the precedent of the Legend movies already set. The current Initial D arcade game, Initial D the Arcade, also lacks dialogue, which was actually released about a week before Battle Stage 3. The common dilemma of Initial D media lacking voice acting, whatever may have caused it, likely was also the reason why Battle Stage 3 had none as well. The next Battle Stage-esque rendition of Initial D would actually come in the form of an abridged version of the Initial D Legend movies, called New Initial D The Movie Battle Digest. This compilation actually did keep the dialogue from the movies, along with an entirely new Eurobeat soundtrack that replaced the trilogy's original J-Rock soundtrack. Although they were probably able to keep in the voice lines because this was an all-new voice cast. The MF Ghost Battle Digest OVA also seems to have kept the voice lines while still keeping the original soundtrack, along with some unused footage apparently. It wouldn't be until the release of the MF Ghost anime where the original voice actors of all returning characters from Initial D would be featured again in an official adaptation of Shuichi Shigeno's work. While the official release of Battle Stage 3 doesn't follow the Battle Stage tradition and is generally not received well, there have been attempts to recreate a more faithful Battle Stage 3 by people online. Some of these revisions involve putting back in the dialogue in the scenes that were put together in the original Battle Stage 3, to creating a rendition from scratch even with an entirely new soundtrack. I don't think I can legally endorse these recreations, but if you're watching this video then you probably know how to use the internet to look for them. I couldn't think of a greater message to end this video on, so maybe I'll see you next time, and take care. So I actually found this out while editing the beginning of the video, but in the home release of Initial D Battle Stage, there was actually a music clip version which removed the dialogue. So that means that Battle Stages not having dialogue was a thing ever since the first installment, technically. Um, I obviously did not know about this, and it kind of contradicts some of the stuff that I said in the video, but I will take accountability on that. I never knew that there was another version of Battle Stage 1, and now that's making me wonder if there's a music clip version for Battle Stage 2. And if that's the case, then uh, I don't know. Why did I make this video in the first place?